said Gen Y kids aren't willing to put themselves on the line? If there's a reason. And the reason why most companies don't tap into the genius of these Gen Y kids is because leaders don't understand the human condition. They don't understand these principles that I'm sharing with you. What makes human beings tick? I say to these leaders who I coach, these CEOs, this stuff that I coach them on, they're not aware of. I ask them, what motivates kids? What are the two things that motivate kids? What are they? I told you yesterday. What are the two motivators? P and P it starts with. Pain and pleasure. Pain and pleasure. Are you ready for change? Tony Robbins. We're talking about Tony Robbins. Ran a program. So finish that one thought off, that your kids are looking for role models, be it from their grandparents. Hopefully, for those of you who are grandparents, inspire your grandkids to do what they dream of doing, rather than being caught up in the bullshit of other people's reality that says you can or can't do something. Who told Steve Irwin he could or couldn't do something? No one. And you were proved yesterday, you have this phenomenal mind. You are each born geniuses. You have all this capacity, but you're not letting it out yet. Tony Robbins finishes a big session Friday night after he does his fire walk, 2 o'clock in the morning. Who's been in New York, seen the hot dog vendors on the streets? He comes out and he's starving, 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's a sign there, hot dog vendor, says, best hot dogs in town. And Tony Robbins comes up, and the guy recognizes him, of course, because he's pretty famous, and he says, Tony says to him, are these the best hot dogs in town? Absolutely. $2.50, you'll be wrapped. So he said, I'll have one. Tony hands over $50. Gets the hot dog, not bad. He's standing there waiting, and the vendor says, well, what are you waiting for? And Tony Robbins says, the change. The vendor says, Tony, you among all people should know that all change comes from within. Are you ready to change? Are you ready to say, my life will never be the same again? My life will never be the same again. I put this slide up yesterday. What is your attitude to change? Why do I resist it? Why don't you say that? Why do I resist change? We know what the risks are: failure, embarrassment, poverty, death, blah, blah, blah. Big deal, you die. Billions of people believe in reincarnation. Maybe you come back. And if you die from starvation, which doesn't happen very often in Australia, does it? By the way, this whole question of money, do you need to have a job in Australia to survive? No. Work is optional. Isn't that good? And just think, as I said yesterday, if you lose everything, if you come on this journey with me and lose everything, you will feel so enlightened. It will be an amazing experience. And you will be forced to change, because part of the challenge is, that's why people have coaches, to be forced to change, to help me break through, to break out to a whole new way. And I want you to start thinking about this. Hey, what is the block that stops me from changing in the way that I want to change? Because many of us go, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And I love how Tony Robbins said, I should lose weight, I should get fit, I should learn more, I should be more disciplined, I should. He says, we should all over ourselves. I love it. We should all over ourselves. So we change when we say, I must. Now think about this. When have you changed? What's been a significant change? I invited you to think about this yesterday. What's been something that you have changed in your behaviour? Just think for a moment. Just think, what record have I got? So the idea that I've got is this. Please write this down. Record changes in my behaviour. Record changes in my behaviour, because when I'm coaching people, I say, how have you changed? People can't remember. But hopefully you have grown to some extent and you have made changes. But what are those changes? Now, what's the benefit of recording these changes? One, you can refer to them. Gives you references. It makes a big impact on your mind, because you say to yourself, what? When you look at this list of changes that you've made in your life, I'm progressing. Does that make sense? Because when you've made a change, 6 months later, that's normal. It's like what happens in organisations. When I work in organisations, I go in there, and people say to me, nothing ever changes. Because a new initiative comes in, 6 months later, that's the norm. And you go back over a 3-year journey, there's been massive changes in most organisations, improving circumstances for people, but that becomes the norm. You get a pay rise after 3 months, you're wanting more money. And most people ask for more money in their organisations because they're having a shitty time. And then I say to them, well, what do you want? What do you want? I've got a list of 28. I've got a list of 28 things that people want from work. I say, what are your top 5? Most people can't tell me. So think about that. What are the top 5 that you need from your JOB? Did David mention what JOB stands for yesterday? Just over broke. All right, so keep a record of your change journey. And you look back at that and you will say to yourself, wow, that's pretty good. And you say, this is improving my capacity to handle my problems. Remember, your mind is like an iceberg. The bulk of it is subconscious. Isn't that a beautiful picture? It's hard to imagine that 6/7 of that is underwater. So your subconscious is driving all this, and emotional intelligence, EQ, is your ability to not be driven by the stuff that's in your subconscious. My metaphor for it I didn't share with you yesterday is swamp. Your subconscious mind is your swamp. Remember, you've got all these experiences in it. They're positive and negative. And you start to think, what do you find on swamps on planet Earth? Real swamps. Weeds, mosquitoes, frogs, snakes, a lotus, buried dead people, dead car bodies, birds, trees, flowers, microorganisms, mud. It's teeming with positive and negative and life. And not one swamp on Earth, the actual swamp, is the same as any other, is it? Remarkably different and similar to your swamp in your mind. And you filter life through your swamp. Emotional intelligence is learning how to shut off the parts of your swamp that you don't want to block where you want to go. Because the question is this, is your swamp you? Is that you? No. It's stuff that's happened to you. It's where your beliefs come from. So think about this. So what do I believe? When I sit down with you and coach you, I'm going to say to you, what do you believe? Most people can't tell me. So think about this. Tell me something you believe. This is coming from your swamp because belief is just a feeling of certainty about something. Tell me something you believe and don't give me a fact. What do you believe? You believe the world is round? Entirely incorrect. Because you look at the mountains and valleys, that's not round. The shape of from the silhouette, it's only round if you're on the moon with Nick Halleck. But it's not round. So your belief has been proven to be incorrect already. What's another one?
Health is really important.
You believe health is really important. Good. What does really mean? Well, that's a good belief, thank you. What's another one? By the way, are there people who give a rat's about health and then live till 100? Maybe you're one of them.
There's 2 types of people, leaders and sheep.
There's 2 types of people, leaders and sheep, says Joe, who believes that. I believe there are 3 types of people. There are those who can count and there are those who can't. Thank you, that's a belief. What about another belief? So it's interesting, isn't it, when you start to go, what do you actually believe? Please write this down. What do I believe? And we're so fuzzy about this, and yet, from your swamp where these beliefs come from, it drives behaviours and stops you doing what you mean to do. If you come on the journey with me, I'll help you identify the beliefs that block you, that stop you doing what you know you should be doing. Remember, we create the swamp through our 5 senses. It's unique. It's what makes you a weirdo. So what you think is beautiful, I say, I believe that's beautiful. What about this chandelier you think, is that beautiful? You know, is this hotel beautiful? Am I beautiful? No. You know, is Melbourne a great city? What about Ulladulla?